I lost a couple of hands. He's like, no, do this. And he won a couple of hands. So he right away thought he was a pro. He's like, just give me your mouse. So he's on the other side of my office. I just throw my mouse at him. He's like, fine, you do it. And then all of a sudden, I was maybe like 66,000 up. And all of a sudden he's like 400,000 up. I'm like, whoa. So I leave to get ready for the podcast. I check in on him and he's like 4 million down, but having a ball. Awesome. Well, hey, Wayne, welcome to the business line, bud. How you doing?
All right.
I'm going to pretend we didn't have any technical difficulties getting going today when you just dropped in and it was first time saying hi.
I have no idea what you're talking about, technical difficulties.
Absolutely. It doesn't happen on the business line. So cool. Hey, super excited that we finally get started here. Well, we didn't get the chance to learn a little bit about you before the show started. So share with me a little bit about yourself, how you got to be doing what you're doing now, how you got to be such a stud in the world of poker. So I know I think I know it didn't start with poker. Right?
No, it didn't start. It started with eSports. So I have a lot of different chapters in my life. The poker side, I'm not even in my prime. I used to be a high stakes cash game pro. I was playing the biggest games online and in the casino up until probably 2012. Yeah. And then I just found myself really unhappy doing it because it's fun when you're winning, but when you lose large sums of money, it just it's inhuman. It crushes your body in a way that is just it's not sustainable in my opinion. Or maybe some people are built for it. I don't know. Yeah. But
I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah, so I'm lucky because I start from the bottom and went all the way to the top. So I knew what my body can handle, at what stakes, where I could take the downswings. I obviously nobody can take infinite, but I could lose so much in that stakes and not really be affected that much.
Yeah.
And now I'm a house player too, so they actually pay me to play. In
really?
fact, it's very. So once you get paid to play, it's really hard to go back.
Because it's a legit gig, right? A normal, it's like a 9 to 5 to play.
So on Global Poker, I'm not paid to play, but they have a lot of bonuses and stuff. So even though I'm not in my prime, I was kind of wondering if I could, still compete, so to say. So I won over $100,000 in net. And I have the graph, and you could look up my shark scope, which, any professional poker player.
We'll pop that in over here while you're talking.
Okay. Yeah. It's very known. So it's when you see a screenshot of that graph, it's oh, they know which website it's from.
Okay.
So even though I'm not in my prime, I still try to, keep up. I talk with a lot of the elite pros of today, and, it's professional poker is beating up on weaker players more so than you have to play well enough yourself, but it's more about beating up on weaker players.
Okay. So tell me this about poker, and then I want to rewind a little bit and talk about how you got there. But like another sport, let's say a physical sport, the game kind of evolves as the humans get stronger or faster or whatever. Yeah. Talk to me about how poker evolves. And, you talk about maybe it's a mental thing, if you're not in your prime because you're just not at it every day like you used to be. But how does that work in poker? If I go back and I watch NFL games from the 90s or even the 2000s, it's a different game than when it is now. If I go back and watch baseball, if I watch basketball, if I watch water polo, the game evolves within the rule set. Maybe the rule set changes and that allows the game to change, from maybe a more offensive facing sport to more of a defensive facing sport. So when poker, it's got a strict rule set, right?
Yes.
And when you're playing, you're saying, okay, now I'm not at that A game level anymore. Is it just because you don't play that hard, or there's not as much at stake, or?
I'm not chasing it. There's several elite pros today that said if I wanted to get back into it in 3 months, I could. I'm not not keeping up, but you got to be in it every day. Unless you're playing the highest stakes in the room and the site, you're not competing. Things are just evolving every day. So to piggyback on what you were saying, just like every single industry, today's innovations are tomorrow's standards.
Right.
So back when the Moneymaker boom happened, I was already had already tried to be a pro for 1 or 2 years, so it gave me a little bit of a head start. And then when online poker came out, it allowed people to play a large amount of hands very, very quickly. And you can't substitute that in real life. Like, real life is so slow. You're playing one table at a time. Like, online, even today, I'll play 12 tables at one time. And people are like, how do you do that? That's crazy. I'm like, how do you play one table? That's crazy. Because you just can't play through the variants.
Let me show you. I'll show you how you do that.
Yeah, but if you're trying to like be a winning poker player playing one table, you're at the mercy of luck and variance, like really, really badly. Even if you are a heavy favorite, like you can be dealt the losing hand over and over and just
right. So that sharpens the numbers game of it. What about the mental game of being at a table with people?
Oh, the mental. So online and live are two different skill sets.
Yeah, for sure.
They often say, online is, the more skillful skill set, which is, you got to be on top of things like theory wise. Like now there's software and something called real-time assistance. Then if you're against this, you're kind of screwed if you're not using it. So back in the early generations around the Moneymaker boom, when online poker first came out, there was something called Poker Tracker. And now there's like Holdem Manager. There's like all these softwares that keep track of data as you're playing and you're playing against your opponent, which it mines the data of your opponent. So if I'm playing you, if we're playing heads up one-on-one, and it's just gotten so advanced. But even like the primitive version, Poker Tracker 1 had pre-flop raise, like turn aggression, win percentage showdown, all these stats and many more attribute towards my ability to just pick apart your strategy as quickly as I can. And then if you can't, if you're not using software against me, you're just dead.
You're done.
You're done for. And then if you are using software against me, now it's like a little bit of battle of information, like who can see each other's blind spots or like weak points or strong points, avoid people's strong points and so on like that. I'm very simplifying it because it's incredibly complicated, I'm sure.
Right. I had no idea that was part of it.
Yeah, it's ugly. And then once you are aware of that stuff, online should really scare you aside from any potential like cheating scandals. So nowadays when I play online, it's not nearly as large as I used to play. It's still like a decent size game, but like I tend to stay away from environments that, cheating is going to be rampant.
Right.
Or just like I know the fields I'm playing with. I find out in retro. I knew who some of the people were because they're friends of friends or acquaintances of acquaintances. But then past that, it started unfolding like who I'm playing against. And you basically see like, a third or half of the field, you know who they are in real life. And it's like, okay, there's too many of those higher level players. I'm like, I don't want to play in this field anymore.
Wow. That's crazy. All right, let's rewind a little bit because I'm super interested how you even got to the point where you're just blowing my mind with what's going on in poker in person and online and big time stuff. So take me back because I kind of dug in a little bit, saw on your YouTube channel, the history playing like Command and Conquer and StarCraft in the 90s and stuff. And I loved that when I was a teenager in the 90s. I'd play Command and Conquer on my buddy's,
I did too.
my buddy's computer, the original one, and then Red Alert came out. And then, but I remember back in the mid-2000s or whatever when it came out, me and my best friend at the time, we get up every Saturday morning, and he lived hours away, and we jump on Xbox and be playing Command and Conquer 3, just co-op against two other guys or gals, whoever was playing against us. We just do that for hours on end. But again, not professionally, not even dreaming of eSports kind of stuff. So how'd you even get into eSports in the first place way back then? Because it was barely even happening back then,
Absolutely.
Right? It was brand new.
It was 1995, and then 1996, there was a program called Kali, Kali.
How old were you then?
When I started, I was, I think, 16, maybe 17.
So I was 15 in 95. So we're pretty close to the same age.
So basically, if you were fortunate enough to have a bunch of friends with computers, there were like LAN parties that you could just like connect to networks. Yeah,
we used to do that with WarCraft too.
Yeah, no, we did that
at
too.
School. After school. Yep. We'd load it onto all the lab PCs when the teachers are gone, because we do all the people after school, and that's what we do.
We were such hardcore gamers. We would take our computers to our friend Stanley and Roger's house. They were twins, and they're going to MIT, and Stanley and Roger Hugh. And we just, LAN party our computers like every Friday after school. And of course, their parents, they hated it. But, we're Asian guys, so you can't stop us from video games.
Right.
So then Stanley showed us a TCP, I probably got the letters wrong, but anyway, a protocol called Kali, which allowed simulation of these networks online over the internet. And then just, with our 2880 modems, we were able to sign on this chat and just play against people.
I can't stress enough to anybody watching that doesn't understand. The mid 90s was early internet. Yeah, it had been around in chat rooms and, cafes and stuff like that. But this was when it was just
the
barely anything. We're so immersed in it now that yeah. So anyway, continue. Carry on.
So there was a thing called Cases Ladder. It's still around. It's called IGL.net now, and you can actually still go back to the Command and Conquer ladders. It still exists.
Really?
But to catch my ranking back then in 1996, you have to go on Wayback Machine or anything else that caught things on the internet. And of course, I screenshotted stuff, but had to, man. It's the internet. That's the proof of your existence.
Right.
So yeah, just there was a guy named Bill One who was one of the best, if not the best, and he mentored me a little bit. He was just he was at University of Urbana-Champaign, so he was it's 4 years older than me, but that's a lifetime, at that age.
Oh yeah, at that age, that's hero status kind of.
So he ends up being really successful. You guys can find him out. His name's William Messitis. He's just gone super successful with getting the right startups. He worked for Cases Ladder eventually, and just a whole bunch of stuff. So he mentored me a little bit, and I'm just this little kid. I'm like, oh my God, you're so cool. And he's like, he was already kind of over it.
Brother, get out of here, dude.
Yeah, pretty much. And then just I'm not gonna lie, I was extremely talented, and I just shot up to number one. There's screenshots of my win streaks and stuff like that.
So this
Basically,
is CNC?
Command and Conquer 1 on Cases Ladder. Basically, my win rate was insane. I literally defined practically the entire metagame. So while
what was your key to kicking butt back then?
Okay, so obviously in games,
to
be good, you got to find the imbalances, the overpowered units.
Yep.
So I had a move which was you just create 2 helicopters, or sorry, you create a barracks and then 2 helicopter pads, and then you create one of the Chinook transports at the same time. So the problem was the build speed for those helicopters was way overpowered.
Yeah, it was way fast.
It was way fast. They fixed this in Red Alert. Which is why I just didn't bother with her. I'm like, you just screwed me. So
the game's done.
So yeah, just two copters and then a Chinook. And the thing is, if you had multiple barracks, the build times would quicken. Which in Blizzard games you have to build multiple barracks, but in the Westwood games it lowers the time that it creates a unit. And I'm this 16-year-old kid. I'm way faster than everybody. Yeah. So Bill is I'm sure Bill One's incredibly good for his age and maybe even wiser than me. I don't know, but I'm just I just had infantry, flamethrowers or whatever, and I could just micromanage, and I could drop the helicopters, target things, and I could drop the Chinook. So that's kind of the first time. Well, that's what real-time strategy was for. It's for multitasking if you're fast enough.
Right.
And then there was a move that no one did, which was sell your construction yard for $2,500.
Okay.
And then that gives you kind of an all-out scenario.
Where you build and rush?
Yeah, you just you spend all 9,999 minerals or whatever, Tiberium.
Yep.
And then you sell your construction yard, and then you have a boost of 2,500 in Tiberium, and then you just win.
Huh.
And then there's alternate moves where you just do one helicopter and then the air strip or the weapons factory, and then you do it that way. But like basically it was really stem bought the fact that the helicopters built too fast and the mobility was just insane. And infantry were too powerful as well. Like you can't just go straight infantry because you would just get rolled over. But if you have infantry mixed with like helicopters and tanks and stuff, it's just like
you're overcome because you've got to deal with them. But at the same time, now you got to deal with something else.
Right. So that's kind of the abridged version.
Bringing me back.
And anybody from that era, they pretty much. So Crispin, who he was, he also worked for Case's Ladder, but he was the founder or CEO of Zero.net. He just like credited me. He remembers playing with me, and like I'm just like, no, it's cool because like I don't even remember the games, but he just said it was like a nightmare, and he was like, quote, so honored to 2v2 with me. I'm like, come on, man, like we're buddies. Like this isn't like some,
That's really cool because I didn't know anybody especially back then, who was doing it at such high level.
It was
so that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I had a lot of, I'm an Asian male, so I played a lot of video games anyway. So Nintendo, like arcade, Street Fighter, but that was like, so real-time strategy was kind of like, people asked me like how I was so good at it, and I was like, there's like this line in Good Will Hunting. It's kind of just like, it's just designed the way I think. It's not that sexy of an answer.
I grew up playing video games too, and I'm not going to lie, I still do if and when I get time. Like I've got way too many video games that I can do anything with, so my son and my daughter are playing, but if and when I have time, I mean, RTS is where I like to go. I've never been able to like compete or anything like that. The only competition I ever entered into was back when the original Halo Wars came out, and my local GameStop was doing a contest on the release day. And the contest was because they had a free demo out like months in advance. Come in, sign up, play the demo, and if you win a demo tournament, one-on-one demo tournament, you get the game for free. Well, I signed up, I showed up, I won the tournament because nobody else showed up. They had to give me the game for free. So I never bought that game. I still have that copy.
Sick. And you have NBA Jam and like Pac-Man in the background?
There's probably 13 arcades around me right now. It's cool. And more than I can, than I ever get to play. My employees don't even get to play that much because we're always working, but it looks fun. Like my Street Fighter 2 doesn't work anymore because I played the heck out of it.
I remember going to 7-Elevens and like breaking their joysticks because out of repetition.
I remember my older brother and I, we used to go to so we grew up in Texas. We used to go to the Circle K, and it was probably like a 2-mile bike ride for us to get there. And we'd steal all of our parents' quarters out of their savings jar. Yeah. And we go to the Circle K, and they had the original Street Fighter there, but the version that they had these big buttons that you had to smash. And I remember going there one day. We're going to go to play. Some dude had glued these big buttons down, and we couldn't play. It sucked.
Wow.
But we played the heck out of that with the original Street Fighter. That was like 87,
was it called
88.
Fighting Streets or something?
It was for one of the home consoles it was, but the original one was just Street Fighter. That's all it was just Street Fighter. Yep.
That's where history started.
That's right. So you got into esports. You were doing that in the 90s. How did that how long did you do that competitively?
So basically the Command & Conquer dried up. Like there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I moved on to WarCraft 2, where the field was about like maybe 3 times bigger.
Okay.
And my team was C4L and
you had a team.
Yeah. The 2-on-2, like that was the great thing about Cali too, is because like not only could you 1-on-1, like you could 2-on-2, which was just like fun. That's
exactly.
That's
and then the best when you each take your faction and you each have your strat and you go after. Yeah.
It's just a fantasy because like when you're playing on console, you're playing co-op 2 players or 1-on-1, and then all of a sudden you could play 2-on-2, which I think, for Super Nintendo, they maybe had like Super Bomberman or something, but it was just like, it was just like amazing. And then in Warcraft 2, you could even go like 4-on-4. It's like, so it was just like, okay, school's going out the window.
Right.
So Warcraft 2, I was I was not as talented as, StarCraft and Command & Conquer, and I still managed to number 1, but there were a lot of really good players. One to this day I still talk to is Gaddington, JC Everson. He actually co-founded chess.com.
Okay.
So he's one of my closest friends from.
You got a whole circle of friends that did all kinds of stuff since back then.
Yeah, no, I'm really proud of them. I'm actually probably lagging the most, but they're just, they're in my corner and just waiting for my stuff, which is two-hand Holdem to come out. But yeah,
we'll get to that, man, because that's where it's at.
But Jay Severson, yeah, we were like on rival teams in one-on-one. There was always this like kind of like rivalry relationship, and then I found out that he lived close to me. We both lived in San Jose, and then we both went to a LAN party, I believe, and then just like he was better than me in WarCraft 2. He's such a scrapper, and this is like this is kind of the character that like as we get older, you don't really know somebody unless you've known them when they were younger, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I know how you feel. I've lost touch with a lot of the people I knew when I was younger because we went so far separate ways.
So somebody like Gaddington, aka Jay Severson, he and I, like, our willpower is just like so strong. We'll go down to like one peon and we won't give up. So when you have like that, and we've come back and won games like that before, but when you see somebody have that kind of like gumption and tenacity at that young age, it's just like no surprise that, when they transfer into like real world.
Yep. They're going to apply that somewhere else, right?
Yeah. And just like incredibly proud of him and flattered to just like have known him coming up. Like you guys should have him on here too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was just like I met him, and then I got number 1 in the Warcraft 2 ladder, and then it was just like kind of like killing my life as a lot of people have experienced with video games. Like, I wasn't going to school, wasn't socially, that great. And this is like pre-internet, like, this is the internet infancy. So I still had face-to-face time. Now, when you grow up with like smartphones and internet, it's like you have like very little face-to-face time.
Yep.
So when StarCraft came out, I had already, shown talent in 2 other RTS games. So, and StarCraft was slower than Command and Conquer and WarCraft 2. So it's fast for like a normal human being. Like, oh my God. And for me, it's like, oh, this is not quite slow motion, but definitely slower.
Huh.
So
I didn't play a whole lot of StarCraft. I think it was the timing of it. I was just in a different place.
I mean, StarCraft was probably the first game. It's the first competitive esport, which is why it's so iconic, because Battle.net
still being played. Yeah,
it's still being played. I just met like these incredibly famous commentators who shouted me out like 20 years later, Tasteless and Artosis, and I met their mom too, and it's like it's crazy. No, because I left the gaming industry. Well, I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I left the gaming industry. But there's 2 new RTS games coming out, real-time strategy games. One by Frost Giant called Stormgate, and the other one's by Uncapped Games.
Okay.
And they just have a plethora of like, history from creating Blizzard games. And just when I walked in the Frost Giant studio, I looked right. The meeting room had WarCraft 1, WarCraft 2, Command and Conquer, Red Alert, Age of Empires, StarCraft, and just like looking straight at my past, I was like almost like tearing up. I was like, holy cow.
It's just nostalgia. This is fascinating to me, dude, because here's why. Like, I grew up as a kid, I played a lot of sports, I neglected school, but not so much that I failed, and I played a lot of video games. That's what I did. And but it was always just on the other side of the looking glass. And here I am talking to you, who was on that other side, that even when I was young, like your age, we're kind of the same age, but even when I was teens and early 20s, I didn't even know that existed yet, really.
Know the right people.
Right? And that you're in these circles, and it's like I'm talking to, a retired famous athlete. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool. It's pretty cool.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And just like the 3 influences for, because the thing is, like, these guys were, Jay Severson was 1 year older than me, and then Dennis Fong, Thresh, the world champion for Doom 2, Quake 1, and Quake 2, he was like 2 years older than me. Yeah. And then my Magic the Gathering friend and mentor, Brian Weissman, was 3 years older than me. He actually was the executive producer of Path of Exile. And Dennis Fong, he has like $1 billion in like startup exits. So they really influence like kind of my growth as as a human being, and just like they're more natural entrepreneurs than me. So when it was my turn, I just they knew, I think everybody knew I was going to have an entrepreneur side in me at some point. And then, I'm just a late bloomer compared to them who are more natural at it. So it was like an honor watching them as kids.
We've got our journeys, and you got your journey, right? You we're going to get into it, but you got into poker and like success, right? And look at the things that you're doing now, even outside of the game you're creating. So
yeah, to put a cap on the esports, like StarCraft, Dennis Fong created a company called Gamers.com, which was for the hardcore gamer, flagship by him because he was, world champion at 3 first-person shooters, and he's, I think, in the Guinness Book of World Records, considered the first professional gamer. So StarCraft ended up being way bigger than these games, and of course carrying a legacy to today. And I was the first kind of like content creator and competitor, literally. Well, I guess Dennis was, but for real-time strategy, I was the first content creator and competitor, because I would get when I qualified to the tournaments, I would I would blog about them.
Okay.
There's no cameras like this. I had to type everything out.
Oh, that
or other
awful.
people. Yeah, but the thing is, it wasn't.
If you're good at it, it's not awful. I'm a terrible writer.
The thing is, it's kind of like there was the tournament version, which was more objective, and then you get my perspective as the competitor, and
which you don't often get in those kind of things. Usually, you get the outside looking in, somebody commentating on the action, right?
Yeah. So just like that was just, even though it was so primitive, it was something that had never been done before. Now it's all over the place, which is, shout out to the esports we always knew it was going to be a thing. It just the prize pools were too small back then.
Right. Yeah, that's just it. You could see this trajectory where it was the pools as advertisers and sponsors were getting involved, those pools were getting bigger, and then all of a sudden there's more eyeballs on it, so there's more sponsors and more money. And now it's crazy, 6-7 figures and stuff on so many different types of genres.
So a couple years I was active, I was one of the top competitors, and basically there was a option whether I could keep going at it in South Korea, and I opted no. I mean, there's definitely a few things in my life that could have changed that trajectory.
Yeah.
But really, just I'm very close with my late mother, passed 2 years ago. And
I'm sorry to hear that, bud.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing ever. But, it's I talk with people whose parents have passed. And it's kind of like this club that,
it's not a fun club to be in. Not
a fun club, but it's part of being an adult. Right. So
sure is.
It was very important to me because she always wanted me to finish college because I'm Asian, blah, blah, blah. And just, she my parents are academics. It's okay.
it's I love it. I love it because I'm the same way with myself. It's how I know you're a humble, cool dude is that you're just willing to poke fun at yourself. So I've never met your mom, but I've had lots of friends in my life that have been Asian, and I've known their moms, and I could just picture her.
Yeah. Thank you all Tiger moms that care about us, even if they don't fully understand us.
Yeah, right.
So, my parents wanted me to be engineer, doctor, lawyer, whatever. So the most fitting one was programmer. And I couldn't.
It's too monotonous, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, no, I'm not good enough. If you put me in the Midwest or in some random place in the world, it'll be great. But the thing is, I grew up in Silicon Valley. Even
everybody who's the best is there.
Yeah. I had 800s on my SATs, but so did 100 other people in my year.
Wayne, I'll be honest, from hearing your, here's my, when it comes to good enough, I talk to my son about this a lot. He's like, Dad, I'm not good at anything. His sister's really creative, really artsy. She's 2 years younger than him, and she's selling these little clay sculptures for $50-$70 to people around, and he's so jealous, right? And I'm like, dude, you go where your eyes look. Said, yes. What are you good at? And he's like, because he's gaming all the time, playing all kinds of game, and I'm like, you're good at those now, aren't you? He's like, yeah, I'm pretty good at them now. I'm like, well, why? He's like, because I like them and I play them a lot. And I'm like, yeah. And the things you're not good at, you don't spend any time doing. We're about to start baseball, and he loves playing, but he's not very good yet. And I'll go home today. I'm like, dude, you get outside and run around. You throw the ball with anybody. You get out. Nope. But He'll have played, you name the game, for as many hours because there's that dopamine, and it's like you're good at what you spend time doing. And if you didn't enjoy programming, there's no way you're ever going to get to be Silicon Valley level, right?
No.
So
it just my high school was gun high school, and it was like extremely academic. Like one of my good friends there, he was number 3 in the nation in math. So like when my dad's criticizing me about you didn't do better because you didn't work hard enough, I'm like, get the F out of here. Like it's not even him I can't compete with. It's like the 50 people in between us. Like I see it with my own eyes. They're just but it's such a privilege to be able to have people around you like this. And that's what, like, I guess like the Asian, I mean, like a lot of parents like don't really get it. It's like, why can't you be like this? I'm like, it's such a privilege to have these people around you because you get to see what's out there, and I get to ask them like my dumb questions, like it, and they get to tell me what it's like. So like, yeah, like because I could see the people around us. Like, yeah, I'm very good at math compared to the average person, but compared to these guys, it's like, but he dominated like all these other people who were better than me. And I would ask these people like, what makes him better? And he just like, they would, explain this or that, just like, he's really good at seeing patterns, or maybe he had access to practice earlier. And, and just, it's just great that I get to get access to stuff because, Quora, the site or that. So there's a whole bunch of people who are academically driven. Shout out to them. Well, Quora celebrity on there is named Jessica Sue. And like I saw her on there.
Okay.
And she ended up marrying my friend. And they have a kid now.
Wow.
But the funny thing is she had a post that's like, if you were in the presence of genius, could you recognize it? And she's talking about my high school friend. It's like hilarious because it's hilarious for me because like I'm watching this guy grow up like firsthand, and she's like kind of this outsider, this core celebrity now describing the phenomenon as he's an adult. And it's just like,
well, the last one to, the last thing to notice the water is the fish. It's like sometimes there's things happening really close to, and you don't even know it because you're in there.
Yeah, I think like I had no idea. Like I didn't like the people I grew up with. A lot of them turned out to be like quite a bit. Like one of my college closest friends, Maria Ho, is like poker female Hall of Famer and won Game of Gold and just most last women standing.
You guys are just winners.
Well, the thing is, like you said, like when people want it, like it's not like I jumped in and played real time strategy games. No. I didn't want it. Like I didn't work hard compared to like a lot of people, sure, but like I wanted it.
Yep.
I wanted it. She wanted it. Like chess.com, Jay wanted it.
Yep.
So
I remember I heard a guy talk once, and I'd never realized this, but it's like you go where your eyes go. Like if you're driving it, if you're racing and you look at the wall, guess where you're going to end up?
The wall.
You're going to end up with the wall. So, and you can apply that to a lot of different things in your life. And sometimes you're working on something hard enough and you realize this isn't what you want anymore and you stop, but just realize once you stop, you're gonna have to start over somewhere else, so.
That's what happened with me in computer science. So it's like, if I was in the Midwest or even the East Coast at the time, I would have been okay. But the thing is like, you can't run from the world, especially when the internet's out.
Yeah.
And this is what I like, if your kids can hear a message, it's like you see all these people on TikTok, YouTube, all these social medias, like, and it's just really intimidating. Like the kids playing.
Yeah, it's a snapshot of their life though, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
It's not the real deal.
Yeah. But in the high school I was in, it was so competitive. I wanted to say this on a podcast, but the problem is when you're younger, and hopefully you don't have any mental disorders. It's
you kidding me? I'm a dumpster fire, man.
It's that like oftentimes we look at a situation and all you could see is what you're not, and you can't see what you actually are. And it sounds like what your son's going through.
Yeah, social media can do that to you too. Or a myopic infrastructure around you and stuff. It's like, that tunnel vision. This is it. This is all I got, man. And then it's everything else that's such a blessing is a blur.
So to your son, that would have a message. Just take a deep breath. Think of what you like to do. Think of what you want to be, and just like, try. And if you're not good enough, so be it. You're going to be here tomorrow, and something else may come up, and you'll learn.
I don't want to pick on him too much. Part of it is he's 13. and everything's changing. You know what I mean? So like everything's like, he's turning into this young man, and he's going to be probably taller than me, and it's the world's different than one. And I don't know, he's got this dad that, you know,
he's a podcaster. You can show him off. He can show you off at school.
Hey. Oh, he's homeschooled. My kids, 3 of my 4 kids are homeschooled. Public school is one of those things we don't have to get down into it right now. It's a weird thing right now. And
can't even imagine.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing. I would have never, nothing against anybody who's ever been homeschooled or anything, but both my wife and I would have never pegged ourselves as parents who'd be homeschooling our kids. But it's like some of the things that is going on in public school systems right now, as far as how parents are treated and how kids are treated, is weird. It is so weird. So I was just like, you know what? I've been blessed enough to have a lifestyle where I have a business and I've got some flexibility. My wife doesn't have to work if she doesn't want to, from a standpoint of work to earn money. So she works 8 times harder than I do. But she's at home with 2 of the kiddos. One of them are going to be 6-year-olds. So she's in kindergarten. She had to get to school. She would have tore the place up. She needed some structure, but bless her little heart. But anyway, let's get back onto you. So how did you parlay the esports into poker?
Okay, so I ended up going back to college at UC San Diego, which and I met Riho there the first year. So basically, I tried to be a good kid and do the computer science thing. Didn't get hired by any job.
You don't seem like the kind of person that's a 9-to-5 kind of guy, dude. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely not. So now that I kind of have to incorporate that, it's a little tough, but because I had really good tiger parenting, it's doable. It's fine. Sure. A lot of training when you're younger, it goes a long way. But yeah, definitely not a 9-to-5 person. And then I was kind of like, I would verbally say, yeah, I'm happy I could do this. And I was more happy because I'm doing, what the Asian kid's supposed to do, which is go to college and major in one of the STEMs.
Yep.
Yeah, there's definitely value in that. But my mom got sick. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then I just lost it. So the fact that she even made it to 2 years ago was a huge blessing for me, because I couldn't do computer science, still had games in my heart, needed to pay for school. Didn't have to, because my parents were definitely willing to pay.
Yeah.
My dad complained that I bought pizza, and now that I'm older, I get it. I get it why he's like, why are you wasting money on pizza? You could get groceries. It's so brutal. So Dad, I'm sorry.
Young, you're like, I'm just trying to get some food. I'm just hungry now.
Yeah, exactly. And then that started my professional poker career, or at least attempt, because it failed at the beginning. So
that's how you have to do it, though. You got to fail.
Yeah, you have to fail. Nobody's born knowing everything, or even close to enough. So
did you say I'm going to try poker, or did somebody introduce you, or had you just dabbled in it before?
So when I was a professional gamer, there was a couple people like Rich Tang and somebody else. They were already professional poker players and working on the side, and they were just doing better in poker than their job. And when you're young and you see that, you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. Well, it's not even you could do that. It's just it's so cool. And you didn't even know the option. It's like my son now
with YouTubers. That's what he's he's like, I could do that.
Yeah, you think.
It's still a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So there was a model there, and there was some minor mentorship. So what made it possible before was because people were a lot worse than they are today. And also the rake was a lot lower. In San Diego, there was no flop, no drop. So if I steal the blinds, the house doesn't take anything.
Oh.
And that's huge. And then I think the maximum amount of rake that they took back then was $3. So you could even play low stakes games and do pretty well.
Yeah.
Or do well as in pay for college and afford some pizza.
Right.
So that went on until online came out, and then online hit the fast forward button. All of a sudden,
started playing for money online.
Yeah. and I busted a couple times with like a couple $100 buy-ins, and then at some point it was a little bit off to the races when you see players who nobody even plays this bad today, but like just you would see like a lot of people just play poor hands and play very passive, get bluffed out, pay off, and just like, wow, it's just like, and it could screw with your head too, because you probably think you're better than you actually are.
Okay.
And then the Moneymaker boom, like you know about the Chris Moneymaker boom?
Okay. I've heard of Chris, but I didn't know there was such a boom. Explain that boom.
He won. So what happened was he won the World Series in 2003. Okay. How he won was he played a satellite on Poker Stars. I think it was really small, maybe even smaller than $10, and just like won a satellite, and then wins the whole thing for I think like 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So imagine what the media did to that story.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. From $10 to 1.5 million.
Right. And everybody's now that's the rags to riches now. Oh, he can do it. I can do it.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's not even wrong to wonder about that, because it's like, it's just poker, right? It's like if you and I were tasked to be brain surgeons, like it's like, okay, no.
Right. Like not right out of the gates. I don't care. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like for poker, it's like, if I study this card game enough and am lucky enough in this field, can this happen? Yeah, sure. And like that's what caused an influx of people, and that's and the thing is, it's just an intellectual curiosity. Like poker, like people ask about, is poker dying? Is chess dying? It's like, no, they can't. Like poker and chess are here for
it's huge. It's just not. And it's huge. Like there's just so many people doing so many things now online. You might not see it in the limelight, but there's so much money flowing around, right?
Yeah, and just like access. Like the whole thing is about like when you're playing like Nintendo or Street Fighter, you're only playing people local to you. Right. So you get this phenomenon where people in San Francisco and LA and New York are like, no, I have the best players. And it goes for like everything local. And then all of a sudden when online comes out, it's like, hey, there's no more excuses. We're playing the entire world.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was the whole concept of esports that made it so entrancing and like differentiating it from like normal sports. Because even normal sports, you kind of have to be local. Or, you need to create teams that are local. But esports, like, no, anytime, any place, go, so that's something that intuitively, like everybody knew about esports. It's hard to quantify it I think Jimmy Kimmel was like ripping on like gamers or something like that, which is like, it's from a different time. Like I don't hold anything against them kind of, but just
folks in the media, they'll rip on whatever is popular to rip on in order to kind of get what they're looking to get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like from a like I'm listening to you, I never competitively played video games, but I spent probably way more of my life playing video games than I should have, just from a hobby. But I played a lot of competitive athletic sports, and I'm listening to you talk, and it's the same mindset that I had. It's the same mindset that my teammates had. It's just pointed toward a different competitive avenue. You know what I mean? So athletes can listen to you, and I can listen to you, and you can. I think you could probably watch sports and hear commentators talking about, adrenaline levels and doing this and making decisions. You're like, that's how I felt when I was playing.
Yeah, practice, focus. Like we all have like different skill sets and different backgrounds and opportunities. So it's just like for poker, like once the Moneymaker boom happened, then all of a sudden an influx of money came in, and just like you didn't have to be like elite, you
could win because the competition hadn't come along so far yet.
Right.
So you could really take advantage of that influx of money at that time.
And there were a lot of bonuses, and there was like rake back. So you didn't have to, you could be a break-even player and just like chase after bonuses. They call it bonus whoring, but it's like, let's not talk about that. Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to get canceled,
every game and every sport has its lingo. So that's okay. It's, I'm no judging here. It's like, okay, that was a thing.
That was a thing. And just like you could just win and make rake back and get paid hourly. There's like all these things. So it's like, if you could do this, you're like, why would I work?
Right. Okay. So that's where you were.
And yeah, I did pretty well. And then like I hit a point where I'm like, I was so immature. I'm just like, I should have just played so much more. All of us are just like, we should have played more. But I was just like, do I really want to do this? And just being like very, American dreamish. Like, what do I really want to do?
So you started questioning.
Yeah. Well, it's not like, I knew that poker would get harder. Nobody really knew, but.
So did your parents know you were playing and winning?
I had told my mom, I had told like some family friends, and they were very worried. Oh, they were very worried. And I don't blame them. And I got into trouble later on in life, and just like, it's not. Really? Yeah, when I went broke, but part of it was because my dad was just very uncooperative with this situation. It's like the world's getting tougher every day, and he didn't really understand and would just like want to impose these like methods that just don't work anymore. Like if you have one job, it's really hard to even pay for the cost of living.
Oh, these days, especially, yeah.
Yeah, and then he would just be like, get a job, save money. I'm like, I don't even have money to...
Especially because you guys you're out west, right?
Yes.
I mean, you might as well look at, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but double cost of living. I'm in the Midwest, and it's getting expensive here. If I go 2.5 hours, 3 hours south into Chicago, the cost of living is silly. But it's still bad. I'm doing better than I ever have in life, but I'm saving less because everything's just crazy expensive. Crazy expensive. So your parents did know, and other folks know. They were super worried, which I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
As
a dad, if my son was in his early 20s and stuff and kicking butt at a game, I'd still be super nervous and be like, dude, be careful. So you let the cat out of the bag there a little bit. So you got to a point where you lost it all?
Yeah, in 2012. Well, the thing is, like, I was doing well. I got sick in like 2009, I think, and recovered. And then
what kind of sick, if you don't mind me asking? HIPAA compliance laws in effect here, but
it was like a mental breakdown.
Was it? Well, hey, man, that's legit. I wouldn't be ashamed of it. I mean, my God, I have a mental breakdown almost every night when I get home to my 4 kids. Okay, I'm just going to be real. I'm not trying to minimize it, but I feel like I'm going crazy sometimes.
Yeah, so it was like, it hit me, but like, because I had such a strong identity, I was able to like claw my way back out. My mom saw that. Yeah, I pushed through it, which was, my mom saw that and was very appreciative of my past since then. Sometimes
it's the mental fortitude when you go through those lows. If you can't, and sometimes it's hard. I can't diminish it for anybody that struggles with these things, but a lot of the times, not every time, but a lot of the times, it's being able to just push through. Sometimes you can't. I'm not clinical or anything like that, but yeah, that's good on you, man.
Yeah, I definitely know some people that weren't able to push through, and it's tough. But they will be remembered as good people.
Yeah. So you're still with us. Thank God for that. So you hit rock bottom.
Yeah, health-wise, that it was not good in 2009 through 11, and then like as I recovered, luckily poker was still there, and I was playing the biggest games at Commerce, like a lot of different ones.
You were still playing after recovering from the issues.
Like, thankfully, poker was there because it's just another option.
Something you knew how to do, something you were good at the time.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think this happened in your other poker podcast too. Like, good is such a relative term because you just need to have the highest comparative advantage over the field. And it gets really tough because it's like, say you're a 96 out of 100 and I'm a 95 out of 100. Variance could just like have me destroy you for a very long time. And the more discrepancy of the skill, then it's less likely it's going to happen. But like in 2024, if you view poker as a competition, you got to, fight and battle. But like if you're trying to make money, you have to be as sure as possible that you actually have a high comparative advantage and kind of mathematically calculate it out. Dan Zach has done a much better job than I've been doing this. And I listened to his podcast over and over and over to just like make sure that I do not forget these like fundamental things because you can get lost very easily. It's very easy to get arrogant after you've won X sessions, X dollars. Were you playing well? Probably. Were you lucky? Definitely.
Were some people playing bad?
Yeah. Something like it has to do with your opponent. More has to do with you playing well plus your opponent's playing bad and you getting lucky than it being a sustainable phenomenon.
But you got to be at the table, right?
Yes. So being able to know where you stand against the competition, not just being better. It's like, even if you're better than me or I'm better than you and the rake's killing us, we both could be losing. Or we're not making enough money off each other for it to manifest. Like that's, it's hard to know. It's not like esports where you have a freaking elo or you have a ranking. You literally know where you stand. In poker, there's like nebulous. How many people say they're good and where's the money? You know, how many people actually are good? Where's the money? It's just so it's like, once you understand the environment, it's about having a high enough comparative advantage, having access to the games. Your F game is going to have more impact on your poker career than your A game. You need to have pools where there's an influx of money coming in. If you're playing against a whole bunch of pros where there's no money coming in, not only is there a skill conflict, it's like there's no money coming in. Everyone is going to lose at the end because there's no influx of money coming in. So you're beating up on the weaker players. So that, say the pool starts with $1 million.
Okay.
The rake takes 100,000. Okay. Like the better players take 100,000 from the weaker player. And then all of a sudden there's just nowhere to go.
You know, I've never thought about that.
So yeah, that's the thing that you don't think about when you're coming up. You're like, oh, it's about my individual skill. Right. No, it's about that's economics. Like money needs to come into the ecosystem and you need to be able to capitalize on the money or else nothing, you know?
Wow.
It'll just go eventually. It's just like every other industry. It's just like when, blue ocean, red ocean, in a red ocean environment, like, a lot of people are fighting over scraps.
Yep.
Or the blue ocean's like,
lots of room.
Yeah.
You're getting in, you're moving through. How did you get to the point where you decided to kind of shift from being a pro and playing competitively to being kind of on the other side, still being involved with the game, to what you're doing now?
So I was really miserable as a high stakes pro. Like, I would like, the problem with poker is there's always the higher stakes. There's always another game. There's always a better player. There's no finish line. Like, definitively, I am a StarCraft world champion. Yeah. That year, that tournament, I won it. I was the best.
Yeah.
In poker, no such thing. Like, it's variance. So when you have these losing streaks, your mind just goes into a vortex of like, I'm wasting my life away. Like, what happened to the money? Like, how am I going to recover this? And it just goes through everybody. And just like, everybody has a different ability to tolerate and react to it. So for a normal human being, even for a pro, I'm really good at it, but nobody's immune.
Yeah.
That game will destroy, poker will destroy everybody.
That's if what you don't say.
Yeah, if you don't have it under wraps.
And man, you're aiming high. Most of us, we're not aiming for the best in the world. Like, you got best in the world at that game and you were aiming high at poker. You're not messing around where a lot of us are swimming, and we're just like, I'm just happy to close a couple deals this month. My business grew a little bit. I don't need to have the number one MSP or the number one, revenue cycle management company in the country. I just gotta keep growing, take care of my employees, live a lifestyle that, and teach my kids to be good people.
That's the thing.
You're playing around in this stratosphere that most of us don't understand. So
in poker and entrepreneurship, that's the trap. Because if you chase that stuff, especially when there's nothing there, you not only ruin your life, you ruin lives around you. So the thing is, like, this stuff, like chasing the top, or even football, or just like the top TV show, there's a definitive end. And if you don't get there, you're not ruining your life or everybody's life around you. You're actually developing skill sets. Yeah. Like, you're not Tom Brady. That's fine. You could be a coach, right. Or you could be you could be a lesser skilled quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. So with poker, it's like a blood sport. Like, you could be the second best. And if you're playing against the best person in the world, you're done for. So
right. So it was making you miserable. So how did you swap out?
So I had came up with the idea two-hand Holdem in 2015. Entrepreneurship, again, very, very difficult. Very lucky to have successful influences. By successful, I mean the gaming industry. I'm not going to compare like these guys to Elon Musk or, Steve Jobs or whatever. So for a normal person, these guys are very, very successful. Yeah. To Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, yeah, sure. Not going to hold a candle.
Right.
But I was watching them operate, their decision making. I talk with them, listen to their triumphs and mistakes. And it was my turn. Like I felt like I designed a game, two-hand Holdem, that was going to... So
did you invent this game? Did it not exist before you came up with the concept?
Didn't exist.
Dude, that's awesome.
So the whole thing, and this is probably the first podcast I say, because I talk about the concept with like millennials and Gen Zs I coach. It's just the incremental change is not innovation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who try to improve on a product or break into something are just doing incremental change. Yep. And Peter Thiel talks about this in this book, 0 to 1, where it's like 0 to 1, you're creating a new product. So I didn't create the deck of cards, but I'm not creating another form of blackjack.
Right.
So this should be hopefully considered 0 to 1. And I have like other games that are definitely 0 to 1, but this is kind of my flagship game because as a gamer, like I need to, like, it's always tough because like when you create something, you're always biased. And you're always like, oh, I think it's good, but then, and you could ask your friends, but your friends might not be the experts. So you have to just like ask like a ton of people. And then at the end, you have to ask the world.
Yeah.
So that was my main thing, my main project. I got it patented, trademarked, LLC, everything. And then I need to pay for my entrepreneurship venture. So, there's this poker legend named Lyman Poker, who was running a poker stream called Live at the Bike at the time. And he's very principled. You go broke, he's like not loaning you a penny, not doing anything. But he offered me a job for commentating. And I told jokes. Yeah. And then I became like kind of a...
color commentary for poker.
Yeah, color commentary. Yeah. And then just a C-list like poker celebrity, or I don't even know. The whole thing is like A-list, B-list, C-list. It's just like
doesn't
whatever.
Matter,
it's
man.
not even,
if you're enjoying it and you're using your skill set, the list stuff.
It's all a tool to get access and get opportunities. Yeah. So you're not going to be, rolling in the $3 million sponsorships, but if you get coaching gigs, it's easier, or you get opportunities to meet certain people. So that's kind of what it was. And then I was working on Live at the Bike I started in 2015, and then I became a co-owner. Oh, man, I don't even remember the year. Could be like 2018 or 19. I don't remember. Whatever the case is like, it wasn't the first time I got offered it, but the first time I was offered it, like other people potentially wanted it more. We're all friends, so there was nothing. Just like they still wanted me involved too. Right. And then it became up for my turn, and then I did what I could, and then we sold it to Bally's.
And this whole time you're working on the game, though, you're working on two-hand Holdem.
Yes. Yeah, because I got it patented, and patents are not cheap and take a long time.
Yep, they sure do.
So shout out to my patent attorney, James Hurt.
So I got to play this game today. I was sitting down with Manny in my office, and I'm like, Manny, you got to check this out. So, because we always talk a little bit. He used to be on the podcast all the time, but he doesn't want to come on with me anymore. So whatever, I'm mad at him about that. But I'm like, man, you got to check out this game because the creator is going to be on the show today, and we're going to talk poker, and he loves gambling. We've got all kinds of casinos in Wisconsin. He likes to go to like Potawatomi and Milwaukee on the weekend and stuff, and spend, sometimes win, sometimes lose money and stuff. But he doesn't know a whole lot about poker, but he's learning. And I'm like, it's called two-hand Holdem, and so it's based on these certain principles, and let's check it out. So we checked it out. And I'm playing, and I'm showing him on my TV in my office, and he's like, okay, do this. And I lost a couple of hands. He's like, no, do this. And he won a couple of hands. So he right away thought he was a pro. He's like, just give me your mouse. So he's on the other side of my office. I just throw my mouse at him. He's like, fine, you do it. And then all of a sudden, I was maybe like 66,000 up, and all of a sudden he's like 400,000 up. I'm like, whoa. So I leave to get ready for the podcast. I check in on him, and he's like 4 million down, but having a ball, having fun. And he's get up because, in the demo, it just, basically unlimited. We could just keep restarting. And he was just betting first 100,000 hands and then $1 million hands. And so he's just goofing around. But he played for 2 hours straight, Wayne, and he got done when I had to steal my computer back to sit down out here to do the show. I'm like, dude, it's time for the show. He's like, oh, fine. And he's like, my eyes, they hurt. I haven't blinked in 2 hours. So if that's any kind of feedback from someone that you don't know, that had never played it before, he's probably playing it right now at home.
Great.
So
keep playing. Stream it. I've been streaming some, but are you able to pull it up? And
here's what I'm going to try to do. I've got it actually in my other tab here. If I share my screen and I tab over to it, can we play some hands? You'll actually see his screen is still up. He's currently $13.4 million in the hole. Oh, but I can refresh that and make it look like nothing. But
good thing it's play money.
Yeah, good thing that's what I told him. So let me go to screen share. We can edit.
It's always fascinating how people think about the strategy, because I don't even know all the right answers, but because I have a spreadsheet of a lot of solutions, then I have hints on how to play the game optimally.
You picking up can you see the feed okay? I
could see it.
Awesome. This is the greatness right here. So I've been salivating at getting back to trying this again. So I think what I'm going to do is just refresh it and then kind of show, okay, so when I go to it, here's where it is. Patented, protected. This is the real deal. So I hit play and I'm in. So I get to place my bet. Let's just start with 10K. And I'm going to put it on both hands. Real money. Yeah. All right. I'm not playing around anymore. All right. So I'm going to have to scoot this up a little bit so I can see. There we go. See the deal right here. So I'm going to deal. Boom. Here we go. All right. Coach me through this. What should I be doing, Wayne?
So do you want to go through your thinking process? Do you want just me to tell you?
So my thinking process a little bit is, this is different because I'm only used to having 2 in my hand if I play this game. And I've just played with friends over the years, but
so
I'm looking
for the audience. For the audience, this is how you play the game. If you're familiar with Texas Holdem, you usually have 2 whole cards, and then there's a pre-flop betting round, and then there's a flop, which is the 3 cards in the middle. Then there's a betting round, and there's a turn for the betting round, and then the river where there's a betting round.
Right.
So in 2-hand Holdem, you get dealt 4 cards, and you see the flop already, and then you split your 4 cards into 2 sets of Holdem hands, so 2 cards each. And then if you like your hand, you can raise it, but you don't have to. But you do have to play both hands.
Okay, yeah. So I'm seeing a couple things here. It doesn't look too great, but I'm seeing, okay, I got a couple clubs here. There's a club up there. I could get a couple, you know what I mean?
So while this hand is not great, you should be winning in this hand.
All right, tell me why.
Because you're going to have Queen 8 of clubs in one hand.
Okay.
And then 7-4 in the other.
Yep. So that's what I was thinking I was going to do too. So if I put that, it's automatically going to put them there.
So why, probability-wise, even though this looks ugly, you should be winning, is because you could raise the Queen 8 of clubs 2 times. So it's 3 times the original bet. Yep. And why it's winning is because, in general, you just need jacks or better on a non-triple coordinated board. This is triple coordinated, but the thing is, your pair is high enough that it's, should be winning, and you have backdoor clubs, which is an extra 5%.
Right.
So
okay.
Regardless if you win or lose this hand, I'm 75% sure this is making money.
Okay.
So a deal.
Let's go. You're right. I won them both. I hope the audio picked up that because I just got goosebumps.
So you got lucky and hit the 7 because you were obviously behind the ace 8-3, but look at the hand that you raised, right?
Right.
You had a pair of queens, you were winning anyway, and you had the backdoor clubs. The dealer had to pick up a 10 or an ace, so 3 aces or 4 10s to beat you, or whatever, running 2 pairs and stuff like that.
Here's what I love too about. So tell me this, Wayne. Did you were you in on the programming of it, on the kind of the design?
I was not, but like I can do it. But like right now, I just have so much to do. Like I need to learn to outsource. That's what entrepreneurs do. You do a lot yourself, and then you outsource.
100%. You do need to learn how to empower good people to do what you need them to do.
Yes,
I've been doing that.
Trustworthy. Trustworthy is more important than skill.
Amen, brother. I love how I get some feedback at the end here on what's going on.
Yeah,
like when I highlight hands. Okay,
that's the hand you're playing.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I said, you could have been unlucky and you lost both, but like I believe long term, even with that quote quote ugly hand, you're winning money long term. That's
just the thing. My layman eyeballs and mind around poker in general, I looked at that and I'm like, oh, I don't see any big, I don't see any big, cards or anything. I'm thinking, man, this stinks. But you just coached me through thinking.
You did get lucky and spiked the 7 and you didn't get outdrawn. So,
I definitely got lucky. Yeah. So let's put some big chips on the board.
Now that you're a pro.
Because we can, right? Now that I'm a pro. Yeah. It happens that quick. You were talking about people get blinded arrogant, quickly. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
All right. So this is a bad hand.
That's so cool that you knew that so fast. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay.
You have nothing going on. So I think the best thing you could do is put 5-4 on one side and King Deuce on the other. So while it's a bad hand and you're
so 3, 4,
losing
5
money,
and maybe hit a 6.
Yeah, but the thing is, if he doesn't have a pair either, you could just hit a pair. Okay. So while it's like you're losing this hand, 1, you're not raising either, so it's not a big deal. But 2, it's just like you could hit a pair, like depending on what they have. They may not have anything.
I lost 200 grand.
Okay. Well, you're not a pro.
That's right. That's okay.
But you see, look at his cards. Like, that's the thing is like, there can be runouts where you win. Yeah. So while you're losing, it's not like horrendous. You can get lucky.
Yep. Let's play one more hand. And let's just do, we're going to go.
If you get like 2 good hands and then you raise and win, it's just over. You're just like, you're playing this game for life. Yeah.
Let's just go big time. It's going to let me do. Okay. Don't try this at home, kids. Not with the real money. Okay. Let's go.
Okay.
5, 6, 4, 5, 6.
You tell me.
I see a pair of 4s and a pair of kings, obviously, right there. See 3 clubs on the board. Should I go a 4 and a 6 and a 5 and a 10 over here?
Yep, that's what you do.
Okay.
So I think you're slightly losing money this hand in the long run. You just deal,
slightly losing a lot of money.
Well, just like I'm talking about like percentage wise. I don't know what the expected value is, but the thing is, it's the whole reason is because they could be dealt a pair in their 3 cards higher than 4, or they could be dealt a king, which is just game over for you.
Right.
But other than that, if they're just dealt like 3 random cards, like they may not be able to beat your pair of 4s. And even if they have a lower pair or something, you could hit a pair of 5s or 10s and still win.
So if you were playing here and you were looking to win big, would you raise both or one or the other?
I would just check both.
Just check both. Okay. Yeah. And I lost. So
because he had a king. He had a king.
Yeah. He got that king. Dude, this is cool. I tell you, like, I could do this. I could keep doing it. I was probably going to be laying in bed playing this tonight and giving you feedback, but this is fun. It's so cool that this came out of your mind almost 10 years ago. I'm blown away by that. And hopefully you're gonna get that kind of feedback from our audience too, because that's cool. It's not often that I get to sit down with a creative mind that's been through what you've been through, and that's come out and said, like, I've still got something in me and taken all this ups and downs over the years over this game that I love and that has brought me misery, and I'm going to turn it into something really cool like this. So this is awesome. So Wayne, when you're not working on this and building this business and working, for Bally's, what are you doing now for fun? What brings you joy?
That's the thing is I'm very lucky, which I mean you mentioned too, which is like you do what your eyes see, and it's like I've seen and heard so much misery of like, I hate my job, I hate my life, and just like, I'm not one of those like super positive, yay, everything. It's just like, no, but I do enjoy what I'm doing, and I have so many interests. Like after I'm, potentially done with what's in front of me. I want to learn more stuff. Like I said about my high school friend, he was number 3 in the nation in math. Back then, I would like to learn math because there's no way I'll ever get to what. And this is the thing, like I will know or get to his level when he was in like high school or college. Have you guys heard of the Putnam exam?
No, I have not.
Okay, so the Putnam exam is a college math competition in which even math majors get 0.
Whoa. That sounds brutal.
Oh yeah, you could Google after this podcast, you can Google it and try to answer any question on there. I literally looked at the test, I just started laughing. I'm like, wow, I'm dumb.
Yeah.
So Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer famously actually scored points on this test for it not being a math major.
Yeah.
So my high school friend Chris Chiang went to Caltech. Yeah, you actually can't. That's the thing. You actually have to write it out. So he actually led the Caltech team his 4 years there against the entire nation, and just like game over.
Yeah.
So it's such a privilege to have access to these people, because like at some point, if I'm like bored or I'm done with everything, I'll be like, hey, let me answer one question on this thing right. Just teach me, bro.
So your brain just doesn't stop. Does it ever go in chill mode?
No. And I need, like, now that I'm older, mental health, especially after COVID and all this, like, internet stuff, it's really a thing. So I have actually had to slow down, try to meditate, listen to calming music. But when I was younger, there was like, it was off to the races like every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. This is life, and like, okay, let's. How about this? Do you get to travel? Do you get outside? And
I actually, because of this entrepreneurship venture and my jobs in LA, I don't get to travel. So recently, because we had some shows like Bally said live at the Tropicana. Yeah. I helped out there and was the producer for a couple of shows. Most noticeably, Garrett Edelstein's comeback, and hoping he comes back to LA. If you have the luxury of getting him on the podcast, he just had a kid, so he's probably not coming on. But he's like, just Google or find him on YouTube and listen to his podcast. Just like your IQ will just go up.
I could probably use some of that. No, this is awesome, dude. I enjoyed this time so much. I wish my producer didn't have his own life. And we could just do this for a couple more hours, because I'm so interested in the cool stuff you've been up to.
When the game launches, you can get me back. So
well, that's just what I'm saying. I was just about to rep the game again. Everybody go, it's like, when can people really start to check this out?
So it should be launching in Washington this year. I mean, I'm still in the process. And then it's dealing with stuff with the DOJ. For California, but that's the start. Washington probably first, and then California probably second.
So it's a state by state thing. You can't just let her loose.
Yes. So the patent is, so it's mine. So it's very difficult to contest. And also shout out to US law, because like, Apple, the iOS, like the App Store won't, like if somebody has a patent, you're done. You can't copy it. And same thing with like, out in casinos, when you apply every state, they're like, okay, who owns like intellectual property? So it's huge.
That's good. Well, I can't wait to see it. Launch. And
me too. No one's more impatient than me.
Right. But you're dealing. It's not like you're just launching a video game that you let go. You're dealing with a whole different world of games, different type of game. So so cool. All right, we will keep in touch, and we will have you back on when the game's launched and people are playing it like crazy. Can't wait to see that.
On X, I'm D22-_soso. Same thing with Instagram. So we will hit comments.
I'll make sure that you and Matt connect, and we'll all the different tags and stuff for all the different platforms. We'll make sure and connect. And I don't know if you still game, maybe I'll see you online sometime.
I'm playing.
What are you playing right now?
I'm too slow to play the new. So I tested the new Uncapped Games real-time strategy. I signed NDA. I can't talk about it, but cool. It is. I
won't get you in trouble. It is
good. Lit. Go follow Uncapped Games now. Also, love for Frost Giant and Stormgate. Like Stormgate is like literally the successor for StarCraft. Check out those two games. But on my phone, I'm playing WarCraft Rumble.
All right. Well, I don't know, man. if I play online with you, you got to be on my team. So I'm not playing against you. I'm not getting worked.
Done.
So you can, but we're kind of old guys now. So, we're slow.
I don't expect to, I just like make fun of myself and how
I wish they wouldn't have shut down the console servers for Command and Conquer 3 and Kane's Wrath. Cause I love just getting on and play. My son would go up in his room and play on his Xbox, and I'd play down in my cave in the basement. And I was teaching him the love, you know what I mean? We'd play co-op and just teaching him and getting him into RTSs, because he had to get to about 9 or 10 years old before he really got it. But we were having some fun. But they shut him down.
Get him back.
Right? So anyway, cool, dude. This has been great. Thank you so much for joining the show. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you here. Can't wait to have you back on again, Wayne. Oh, I never told you. We got a connection. My middle name's Wayne.
Oh. So, Brian Wayne.
Brian Wayne Collins.
Matt.
Isn't that crazy?
Collins.